Welcome to the Creators Toolkit.
I'm Yanni Blue from Bigger Than Our Dreams.
And I'm Mike Brown from The Art of Letting Go.
This podcast series is inspired by our second annual Merch Madness contest, where we will be exploring entrepreneurship for creatives and community building in the digital era.
That's right. And in this season, we share our personal journeys of building brands and creating merch. We'll also be sitting down with fellow artists, branding experts, and fashion professionals, all while competing to see who sells the most merch in the month of March.
We're excited to dive into the tools, techniques, and strategies that can help you succeed as a creator in today's fast-paced world. So, welcome to the Creators Toolkit. Welcome back to the Creators Toolkit.
What's up, everybody?
So yeah, this week we are talking about designing merch with intention. I'm curious to know, Yanni, because I have definitely fallen off of my merch journey for a little bit. Just being in the midst of transition in life. I haven't been keeping up with my consistency of promoting merch, but I guess this is a way of doing it. But how has it been for you these past couple of weeks?
It has been the same. I've fallen off a lot too, because of I think this time around I didn't have the content. I didn't front load the content the way that I needed to, so it was easy to kind of get lost in promoting. But you guys can still buy the merch. It's all available on Etsy.
How important has do you feel like it's valuable to batch record merch?
Content?
Yeah,
or merch?
Content.
I think it's easier. Especially with a daily campaign. You know, we're doing a post a day. I think it is healthy to batch record. You can make up things on the fly. There's great tools like CapCut, and you can always reuse content, which is great. But just in general, batch recording I think works best for me.
Which way do you create and why?
Content?
Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy batch recording, and I enjoy when I batch record to just make things that feel fun. So it's easy to kind of just jump on TikTok or Reels and find things that I find interesting and try to make them my own in relation to whatever I'm trying to promote. What about you?
I think batch creating works better for me, but I don't make the time to do it. I've been trying to put it in my calendar to do it once a week, but usually I'm doing it day of. And I think that's why I like using a scheduler app so much, because in promoting on social media, I get caught up in doom scrolling as well. So it's like really trying to find a balance in the two.
Any scheduler apps you'd like to plug?
No, because ain't none of them cutting me a check, so no.
Just in general, what makes a good scheduling app for content? Like, what should people be looking for if they're looking to use any app to help them schedule content?
For me, something that lets you post to multiple apps at one time. So like usually the scheduler I use, you're able to do like 3 to 5 apps for free. There are free ones out there, and you can schedule up to like 10 days in advance. That's helpful. Or 10 posts. I think that's what it is. So if you're doing three social medias, that's like three days a post. If you're posting a day for each one, that's like 9 posts, that you could get off. But yeah, that's what works for me. I think, being that we're talking about being intentional about merch this episode, also for me, being intentional about creating content feels important as well, because I have tried to just shoot stuff out there, and it doesn't always feel good. So I think when I'm creating the content as well, I'm really looking for and I guess in my merch as well, like what is pouring into my soul, what is gratifying me in doing this, because, doing it with no direction sometimes can just feel empty.
Yeah. That, and I think also we've been talking a lot about, as far as intention, really hyper focusing on ways in which these things make us money or create real visibility, and how we're able to gauge that. And I know we've talked to different people about that, and we've discussed that. In this moment for you, when creating with intention, what is like your primary sort of measurement when you, as far as what you're putting your attention into?
So the first thing that came up for me when you asked that question was feeling. And that's with anything I do. That's not just merch, that's music, that's podcasting. It's really about how does it make me feel. And I say that that's what's most valuable to me, because it's like, if it makes me feel good and that's the feeling that I'm putting into it, that's the feeling that's going to come out of it. So, you know, the people that connect to it, they will be able to feel what I'm putting into it. So like if you put, you know, boredom and laziness into your art, it's going to come across that way. Mm-hmm. Same with the merch. How about yourself?
Feeling has been big, and but a little bit beyond that, I think innovation has been big for me. And innovation in the sense of, how can I create things that feel good, but also are creating real impact for me and my brand, whether that's monetary or visibility. And I use the word innovation. I think I prefer the word innovation, because the other word would be like monetization, which is the whole point of this. But I think keeping myself in the mindset of like, I don't want to make money off some shit that don't feel good. So for me, innovation is the word that's kind of keeping me on track with like, I want to still feel good, but I really want to start turning a profit. So I think that's been my intention the most, has been kind of like, all right, how can I work smarter? How can I really take these tools that I have and turn a profit with them, all while still really feeling good about what I'm doing? And I mean, I guess that's that's just our goal in life, really. That's the balance we've been trying to strike. But that's been very clear for me as of late with everything, even releasing music, just, you know, trying to be more intentional about like, do I want to release this song to streaming for possibly $20 in a year or so? Or do I want to maybe sell it to a music licensing company for a couple $100 up front? Or do I want to possibly, you know, sell it to an artist? And, you know, same thing with the merch. Like how are we being more innovative in our approach so that we can really create things with feeling? So that's been kind of the biggest thing at the forefront of my mind. And it's been really cool doing this pod, because that's a lot of what's been coming up with everybody. Like, I think Christoph had a great perspective on being a business, but also being connected to feeling. And I think when we get into Ryan's segment in a bit, she kind of has the opposite of kind of starting with the feeling and building her business around it. So it was cool to see the two different approaches.
I feel that. So my question for you, we have like 10 days left in the month, something like that. How many pieces of merch do you think we could sell between now and the end of the month?
Ideally, I would 5 would be a nice number of things to sell. Okay. In that time frame. Just based off how we've been doing so far, 5 would be a number that would feel good. How about you?
I think 5 feels good. I think we could do 5. Yeah, so if y'all are listening, we're trying to sell 5 pieces of merch before the month ends. So, you know, shout out to our moms and our friends. But we'd also like some listeners to make a purchase at some merch. So make sure you buy merch at yanniblue.etsy.com. Shameless plug.
Yes.
Well, I feel ready to get into the episode. How about you?
Let's do it.
All right.
I feel like Garth.
The business of merch can be daunting, and as artists, we often wonder what sells and what resonates with people. She's Ryan is a multi-hyphenated artist based in New York who grapples with these questions regularly. Her self-aware approach has led to a brand with multiple merchandising extensions. We caught up with her in week 2 to learn how she manages to branch out in so many different directions and how prioritizing her mental health has been crucial to monetizing her art. For me, as a fan and a collaborator of yours now, I have admired how well integrated you are as a creative. Like, I know that you do music, I know that you work in fashion, but I also see that you do other things. You have a book, clothing, like different things that you've been attached to. So my first question for you was, where do you feel like you started to really come into your brand, and how are you able to integrate it in the way that you have now?
Yeah, so branding and merch is totally different, and I want people to know that, right? So branding is who I am. So I've monetized off of myself, my personality, my visual art, and my sonic skills, like what I do with audio and music and fashion, right? So that's the brand part. The merch, where I had to start selling merch, was like what any other artist would do who's independent. You need coin, right? So you need money. So I started branding with being one unapologetically myself. It's very, very hard. It's super cliche. It sounds so stupid when people say it all the time, like just be you and go post every day. That shit is hard. It's hard. And then there's different types of posting and there's different types of brand identity. So when you are trying to identify the brand that you have, how do your how does your community respond to you? So I had to like literally do these case studies where it's like, okay, does my do my followers and my community like when I'm just doing straight camera speaking? Does my community like when I am doing skits and funny shit? Does my community like when I'm just quiet and doing voiceovers on top of my video? Does my community like when I'm informative? Does my community like when I'm teaching? Or do they just like to see the glamour, the sparkles? And through me looking at my own insights, my own analytics, my community likes when I speak to the camera most. And that's how you can focus in on your brand. So I said, okay, my community likes when I speak to the camera most. They don't really care about when I'm doing other things. Like they like when I put out a song, but they don't really care. They want to kind of feel identified. They want to feel like related to, like, oh shit, I wish I could do that. So that's when I started doing merch, like books to help people who felt like they needed to hear a message. So both of the books that I put out there, they're low content books, they're journals. So it's a lot of space in them. There's not a lot of writing. But it also gave people opportunity for healing because all of my content that I speak about is imposter syndrome, the artist brain, the analysis paralysis, where you think too much and so much you can't do shit. Um, not identifying with social media as an artist, meaning it becomes cringe. I don't like showing up on social media because like I'm an artist. I like to do my art. I don't want to like post and then y'all judge me because I post and then I might only get like 10 likes on my post. Like these are all the things that I teach people to kind of like throw out the window because that's what my brand has turned into through me analyzing and auditing my own page. So that's the first step on starting your brand. You have to audit your own page. What do my, you can call them what you call them, I call them community. The people who do 3,000 likes a post as opposed to 138 likes a post are the people when I speak to the camera and I speak about being an artist, how hard it is to post, imposter syndrome, and the cringiness behind social media and what it has become. So that's why I did the two journals, which is Dopamine Detox for the Dope Artist. It's just fun. You can go in there and have fun. And it also has exercises to boost your levels of dopamine every single day. Like those are the type of things that I publish as the stuff for my brand that is merch, but it still has my brand identity attached to it. And then I have exercises in there that say, listen to your favorite song, draw immediately what comes to your brain when your favorite song comes on. That's me putting my music into the brand. Then I have a short bio of myself with images in the back of the book so people still know who the hell I am after you purchase this journal. So my brand is attached immediately to what people corresponded to instead of me just being like, I'm a music artist and I'm a hot model. Let me just what published, like, print t-shirts. Like, that shit don't always work. It doesn't always work. The podcast works for me. The vlogging works for me. The TikToks works for me. That's all branding.
I had a question about merch because I think it's dope that you created a dopamine journal, and I'm curious to know, well, for you, how has it been creating merch, and how important do you think it is for artists or just creatives in general to create with intention when designing merch and just products to put out into the world?
Like, I still make the other kind of merch, like a t-shirt, a coffee mug, a calendar because my booty is out, with some chaps. I'll still make that kind of merch. You know what I mean? Because you got to pay your bills. I still make merch that is just normal merch for the artist to have, but I really figured out, when you tap into your community, that's when you can kind of strip back and say, what? How can I serve the people who are actually fans of me and my brand? How can I serve them? That's where your real merch comes in. That's where it really comes in, right? How do these people perceive me? Like, how am I serving them? Because if you realize, people don't buy unless it's for them. They want to feel good. So they're not going to stream your song just to support you. Like, I hate that how that sounds, but it's facts. They stream your song because they want that dopamine fix. They want that serotonin, that adrenaline rush. They want to feel that. Like, I like Yanni, but I like that song better. You know what I mean? Like, period. I like She's Ryan, but that song is kind of fire. So I don't know about you, girl, but I like the song. They want to feel something for themselves. So once you tap into I know I'm a creative, but how can I serve during my creation process? That's when I was able to produce product that actually monetized.
That's a bar, and that's so important. I hope people take that in, because I think even coming into creating the series, Mike and I were more focused on, like, how can we help give people game to be better at creating things and find the balance. But what you're saying is so much bigger than that. You're saying, like, when I took the time to really make sure that my infrastructure made sense for me as a creative, I felt more fulfilled. And that's so huge, because a lot of this is going to be, trial and error. You are a beautiful artist, you work in the hip hop and pop mediums. Of course, the idea of you selling a shirt with your face on it is like easy, but you were like, no, I'm gonna do the work to find out if A, that's gonna work, but also B, what does that do for me? And that makes me wonder also, as you've created other extensions like the journals, how much of creating those and the thought process behind it do you feel like was more rooted in what you needed, and then being able to give that to people, versus like, this is a great idea for money?
Let me tell you. So I took all these certifications to become a life coach, right? And I still don't use the word life coach. It's just, I'm a mindset coach. I can give you further tools for whatever you've been doing already. So I am not a psychotherapist. I am not a therapist. I am not a social worker. I'm a coach, right? So I can speak to people based on the niche that I'm good at, which are artists who need help with becoming the best artist, but also making sure you don't drive yourself crazy. That is it. That's my log line. That's my tagline. Don't drive yourself crazy being an artist. That's where the journals came from. But that's what I saw in my community, like associates and even close friends. You driving yourself crazy, baby. You driving yourself wild. So to go back to your question, I think that everyone who is a healer, everyone who has started doing the work for themselves, the reason why they start healing other people and start coaching other people is because they need it for them. And that's a fact. That's a fact. The reason why we do this work, the reason why you have informative podcasts, transformative podcasts, the reason why we become leaders and thought leaders, mentors, coaches, healers, is because we needed it first. So you started doing your work and you're like, I like this. I want other people to feel like this. And I especially want my community to feel this. I want my community of all of my artists are so diverse. Like, artists are complex. There are so many layers to every sort of artist, but I want them to feel that little bit of taste of freedom that I felt just from letting go a little bit. Period. The art of letting go. I'm just going to say it.
So, the first step of selling merch is being able to wear your own merch. And this year, Mike and I were super intentional about creating merch that really spoke to where we're at in our lives and our careers and the things that we wanted to present to the world. For me, it is always a struggle to remember just how multifaceted I am and all the different things that I do. I love songwriting and I love singing, but sometimes reducing myself to just that really hinders my capabilities in the world and what people see me as or think of me for. So I created these Rated Artist t-shirts. They are some of my favorite merch that I've made. They are a riff on the film rating logo, but instead of rating films, it is different types of artists and the various different things that those artists are. So, if you're a podcaster, if you are a independent artist, if you are a songwriter, we got a shirt for you. Check them out at my Etsy store, Rated Artist Tees. You've probably seen us wearing them on some of these videos. They are fire, so get you one. And enjoy the show.
What advice or what words of encouragement could you give to just creators on their journey? Because you got me so inspired just listening to you talk. But what piece of advice could you give to people that are just just in the trenches of this shit?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what you think this is. I'm in the trenches. I just figured out a loophole. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to say take things one step at a time, Mike. Like you have a laptop, you have a phone, you have ways to find the information. It's just information overload for us. It's information overload. It's like, how do I take one step when y'all niggas, y'all just gave me 47 steps, bruh. You gave me 47 steps to the first step on how I can make $300 off of my Instagram post. It's so hard. Every single creator, every single artist is going to be different, right? So for podcasts, you know that this gets really technical, but also consistency comes behind it. It's like going to the gym. So after learning all the technical stuff behind potting, right? Behind being a thought leader, behind being a healer and a teacher, and then a creator, and then promoting it, you didn't have to do the other work, which is always doing it. Always doing it. Consistency. It's persistence. It's like I'm in the trenches too, because right now y'all would have been, this call would have been from Hawaii right now. Okay? Like after this, I still got to go perform on just be live somewhere to make sure that somebody sees my brand awareness. I have to go do that. I'd say the best advice that I have for any creator in the trenches that is letting their mind take over, tired because of situational atmospheric things, one step at a time. Take a deep breath. Remember, this is so temporary. This is so temporary. How do I want to spend the next year of my life? How do I want to spend the next year of my life? I want to spend the next year of my life comfortable and free. Money makes me free. Money makes me comfortable and makes my family comfortable. Let me try one step at a time.
Before we closed out, Ryan had one more piece of advice to share with us.
We have to find a way to start to breathe first and then act right after, because your brain is so much different once you start doing these breathing exercises. Once you start getting away, I mean, while you're walking back or driving back from dropping your daughter to school, stop somewhere. Stop somewhere. You don't have to rush back home to your husband to clean and cook and wipe his butt and stuff. Like, you got to stop somewhere. 10 minutes a day of deep breath work is going to change you. It's going to change your trajectory. It's going to change your life. And then your mind becomes more clear on shit. I'm going to go on TikTok today. I'm going to go live. I'm going to go live. You just made $100. $100 you didn't have. I'm going to go watch a YouTube. I made this goal for myself for 2024. It was the six pack. That's gone. That's out of here. The new one was to watch one tutorial a day, no matter if it's 5 minutes or 50 minutes. one tutorial a day. So I started watching one tutorial a day on YouTube of any single thing that I want to do. Anything. Just one tutorial. The knowledge that I've learned from just watching one tutorial a day has changed my entire March. I'm in March now, and I know how to use my sewing machine. I know how to like I know and now what is that going to do for me financially? Just from watching the tutorial. You don't have to move while you're on YouTube. I'm saying, you ain't got to jump up and down. Put it on. How to use sewing machine. Do it. One tutorial a day, and that's what I started doing, and I do it for all the things I like: hair, makeup, sewing, painting, Final Cut Pro, all these things. One tutorial a day, and they're free.
Shout out to She's Ryan for giving us such excellent insight this week on creating merch with intention. If you want to support myself and the Art of Letting Go's merch journey, yanniblue.etsy.com. You can purchase some shirts because we're trying to sell 5 shirts before the month is out. So come through, pull up, and join us next week for another episode of the Creators Toolkit.